Very good morning, ladies, gentlemen, and your excellencies, and welcome to Why Invest in Tampere webinar. I am Anne Valtakari from Business Tampere, and I'm acting as a technical moderator in this webinar. Host of this webinar is Mr. Oliver Hassi, Senior Business Advisor from Business Tampere, and he will be presenting himself a bit later. During the whole event, you can write your questions to chat and they will be answered in the Q&A part at the end. And also, I want to tell you that this event is recorded and you will get the recording afterwards. And now, opening words of this webinar will be presented by Mr. Teppo Rantanen, Executive Director of Economic Policy, Competitiveness and Innovation from the city of Tampere. So Teppo, please, floor is yours.
Thank you, Anne, and good morning. Welcome everybody to join our webinar on discussing about Tampere and what Tampere looks like. And I have a few slides to begin with to just first briefly update you what Tampere is all about today, and then a few highlights of what we have been doing in the recent years. So next slide, please. If you look at the Tampere, which is the second largest city region in Finland, and the only other sort of a strongly growing region compared to the other regions, and in addition to the capital region, of course. And we have been looking at a growth rate of close to 4,000 people a year, and we are now in the city itself 240,000, but the surrounding communities, municipalities, if you count them in, we are more than 400,000 already today. So we are a very vibrant region. We have a very strong university, which has been now formed out of two strong universities, University of Tampere and Technical University of Tampere. And the new Tampere University is, with 30,000 students, a very strong base for all of the good innovation and skills built in this region. And of course, the history in Tampere is all around ICT. We are a very strong Nokia city, and also a very strong manufacturing company with especially machine manufacturing. And now it's turned into the smart machines and manufacturing of today. Health technology, nanotechnology, others are also strongly present here. And also we are a city of culture, with theaters, museums, and also now applying to become the cultural capital of Europe for 2026. Next slide, please. The one thing I wanted to mention to you is that we have become now very famous of our Smart Tampere program. We have developed our own smart city program for the last 4 or 5 years, where we have set ambitious targets where we are in 2025. Our city services will all be delivered mainly electronically. By 2030, we are a carbon neutral city, but we are all the time developing new solutions for a smarter city, a smarter community, jointly with companies. We have more than 400 companies with us in this ecosystem, and with the universities, research institutes, and of course with our citizens. And we are definitely promoting the themes around that, digitalization. I think the current theme, which is probably most interesting us, is use of data in the future city. So we're calling the smart city of the future a data-driven city for citizens. Next slide, please. One of the things which is important to understand that we have been hit now with the COVID-19 all over the world. And despite of the COVID-19, already when we were hit by the pandemic, we decided that this is a time that we should definitely continue the strong investments that we have been doing. So we are continuing and even accelerating some of our investments to see that what comes out of the Tampere after the COVID pandemic situation is even stronger. And we have very good evidence of that already now. And you could say that we are looking in the course of the next 10, 15 years, an investment close to 10 billion euros being invested in the city, mostly by private capital, but city is also itself investing heavily. This year, only the city and the city-owned companies, the whole group, is investing close to 800 million euros just this year. So a few mentioning about the big things we have ongoing right now. Next slide, please. Hieravanta City District is a city area where we have a number of opportunities for an old area which used to be factory land, and now we are turning it into an area for 25,000 residents and 10,000 jobs in the vicinity 4 kilometers from the center of the city. And we're looking at building a kind of a model city district with all new technologies in place, so the smart city district of the future. And that is on its way. So we are starting there now, and we will be building the first buildings hopefully in 23, and onwards that it will continue for the next 20 years to be built the whole area. Next slide, please. The one thing which we are very proud, which is already up and running, is our tram. We built a tram which we didn't have before, which is more like a light rail type of a system, and in that we have been doing the first part ready this year, so it's already there. We're just waiting for the COVID situation to help to let the people in, but in the summer it will be up and running full space, and we'll continue building the new lines for the tramway for the next 3 years already agreed, and then we have plans to build further that to the close by municipalities towards the end of this decade. So this is a very strong effort, and the tram will be what we call now the smartest tram ever. And we have a very strong ecosystem around that, companies who are building this new tram with connectivity, sensors, camera technology, glass technology, and of course everything is supported by 5G. So the next slide, please. One of the big things for us in Tampere is that we will have the biggest multi-purpose arena in Finland being built here, and it's in the center of the city. So it's built on the top of the railway station, and that is totally new concept that hasn't been done. It's first downtown arena in Europe, and it's not only the arena; it's building a whole new part of the city at the same time. And we have already, the arena is almost sold out for the next year. Major events, concerts, expos, not to forget the Smart City Week, which will be happening there in January, February next year. Ice hockey games, Ice Hockey World Championship, of course, next spring here. We will have a lot of things happening which will attract visitors from all over Finland, but also abroad. Next slide, please. In connection to that, there's a whole new area which is called Tampere Deck, which is consisting of high-rise buildings. It will be the first high-rise area of the city, and there will be a lot of new business development, a lot of new real estate development happening there. The first towers are already ready, and it's expanding as we speak. Next slide, please. And to connect that further, we are now starting to build the new travel and service center, which will be a huge connection point for people. We have more than 6 million people passing by every year here through the railway station. And this center will combine the local traffic, the long-term, long-haul traffic, but also be a place for people to live, to work, to shop, and to enjoy nature in the middle of the city. So this is something which we'll be looking forward to build in the next 7 to 8 years. And the next slide, please. So this is all that I had to tell in this very short time, to just small teaser from what Tampere is all about. And as the last picture shows, we also beautiful landscape. So definitely we welcome you to come and visit us, at least when the COVID situation helps a little bit out in the next few weeks. And then we'll be able to see yourselves the opportunities that Tampere presents to different players within Finland, but also definitely globally, which one of our focus areas for next year is to try to connect Tampere and make it as international city as possible, and also well known internationally, as we are already well known as a smart city, but also well known from other perspectives. So from my point of view, I would like to thank you and hope that you have an enjoyable hour listening to what's happening in Tampere. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teppo. So next we have our host, Oliver Hussey, introducing himself and giving introduction to Business Tampere services and team. So Oliver, please.
Good, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, a very good morning to you from Tampere. Thank you all for joining us this morning. My name is Oliver Hussey. I'm with the Investing and International Operations team here at Business Tampere. Today, the idea is to give you an overview of the Tampere offering and a teaser, if you will. And what we're hoping is that after this call, you will follow up with us and ask us more questions about various topics you heard raised today. This is a continuation of our discussions with many of you that we've engaged with in the past. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time today, we hope it's the beginning of a discussion, and we very much encourage you to engage with us. We'll be asking some poll questions after each of the presentations, a little quiz, if you will. And at the end, we will also have a survey to get your feedback on today's session. So in this slot, I would like to, first of all, give a short introduction to our company and the region. Next slide, please, Anne. Anne, can everyone see my video there as well? Okay, so your business, our passion is our slogan here at Business Tampere. We're the region's economic development agency. We're financed by Tampere City and the surrounding municipalities in the greater Tampere metropolitan area, if you will. We have a wide range of responsibilities in the area of economic development. To mention a few, ecosystem development. So each of the people presenting today are coordinators of their particular cluster or ecosystem. And there is additional ecosystems that we won't touch on today, but we'd welcome any inquiries on those as well. We're also helping our local companies grow and internationalize. So for some of our smaller companies, especially, it's a challenge networking and finding contacts internationally, especially in the time of the pandemic. So we offer our experience and services and our networks to them to find contacts overseas. A large part of what we do, and especially my own responsibility, is in foreign direct investment attraction. We've been quite successful on this, and today we'll talk a little bit about why those companies chose Tampere. We also help our local companies with export support, and we have a lot of activities going on in our startup ecosystem. So a lot of support and services, and also now a new venue here at Platform 6 for startups, and we welcome startups from all over the world to come and join us in Tampere. So our team is about 45 people, roughly speaking. And for those of you who have engaged with Business Finland before, they are engaged at the national level. And of course, we cooperate with them ad hoc, depending on the project. Next slide, please. So there's Tampere, the old industrial heartland, and still the current industrial heartland of the country. Within a 2-hour drive of Tampere, you'll find 80% of Finland's industrial and economic activity. We're very well located in terms of logistics. You see our location there, a hub on the rail network, very well connected to the nation's ports. So for locations being sought for manufacturing, for example, or logistics, we're a very, very suitable location for that. And fast and direct rail access. A lot of development going on with the rail connection throughout from Tampere to Helsinki, for example. Next slide, please. So what can we help you with and help the companies that you're in touch with? So what we can help with is getting access to information on what we have to offer here in the region. So new technologies that companies you're in touch with may be seeking. The open innovation platforms here. Companies might be interested to have a site here or investigate what benefits they have from joining one of these ecosystems here. Also R&D partners. So partners in research or development, we can put you in touch with them. Suppliers, and also different business networks here. We can help companies that you're in touch with find the right people. And maybe most importantly in the recent years, talented workforce. So talent is becoming a more and more significant factor in investment attraction all of the time. We're well connected and we can help find the right team, the right people for those companies that are considering a site here. Next slide, please. So here's just very briefly a few testimonials, if you will, companies that are happy with their investment in the region. These include some homegrown success cases such as Avant and a number of international companies. So we're not just involved in attracting new companies, but also keeping the companies that are here happy. And clearly with these stories of expansion, you can see that many of them are pleased with their choice of location and are continuing to expand in the region. We'll talk later a little bit more about why those companies choose Tampere initially. Next slide, please. So we couldn't get through a presentation from Finland or Tampere without mentioning Nokia. And here we benefit greatly from that heritage. So the world's first smartphone, the Nokia communicator, was conceived and designed in Tampere. And we are lucky to still have all of that know-how here in our region. And now it's available to other industries and other companies as well, that know-how. Next slide, please. So here is one way of looking at the Tampere offering. This is how we position ourselves. So we have smartphone technology for many industries. So on the horizontal, you see those technologies that come from smartphone development. And on the vertical, you see a number of selected industries. The traditionally strong industries here being ICT product building and intelligent machines and manufacturing. So they are leveraging very obvious for ICT product building, but maybe less obvious for the intelligent machines. And a new up and coming area, already quite strong here, would be automotive. Now, traditionally, there has not been an automotive OEM. There's no car manufacturers have locations in Tampere. But what we do have is all of that smartphone and machine building era know-how that can be integrated into the car to help it be autonomous, shared, electric, and connected to deal with those 4 megatrends. Next slide, please. So the way we present the offering to the world is through the structure of our ecosystems. Now, we have a mix. In dark blue, you see the industry-centric ecosystems that we coordinate, and in light blue, you see the more technology-centric ecosystems. We will present 4 of these today, and we invite you to have a look on our website and see the other ecosystems as well, and let us know if you'd like to hear more about any of those. Next slide, please. So with that, I'd like to ask Anne to launch the poll question first. And I'd invite you to also share any questions you might have via the chat window. Next, we're going to have the presentations on the particular ecosystems. Thank you, Anne. So we'll leave each of these poll boxes up for about 20 seconds, so you have a moment to read them briefly and share your answers. And thanks for your input.
Thank you, Oliver.
So as the first of the ecosystems is imaging, I'll go straight into presenting that one myself.
So I'm ending the poll now, so you can let's look at the results later, right?
Sure.
Yep.
Thank you, Anne. I'm coordinating the Tampere imaging ecosystem here in Tampere. Next slide, please, Anne. And we started this around 4.5 years ago in the aftermath of Microsoft then deciding to leave Tampere at that point. They've since come back. And we initially had quite basic idea of just facilitating networking locally to make sure that the companies kept in touch with each other, realizing new projects together, and with the university for research collaboration. But quickly it became an international activity. Our events became international. We received a lot of attention internationally, and it's grown considerably in a short time. And now we can say that actually it's one of the top imaging hubs in the world. It's already in the last 4.5 years alone attracted 10 investments from overseas international companies. So you'll see here there's a number of industries that this ecosystem is serviced by, including manufacturing, for example, and health. Where we're very strong is in the mobile technologies imaging sector, and we've been most successful at attracting investments there. It's a mix of international companies, and we have a number of local companies, success stories as well, such as Grundium, who are developing a microscope technology, and also Nomicam, who we'll talk about more. Next slide, please. So our activities include facilitating discussions with the university, discussions with international partners, but also events. So we cooperate with some of our local companies to attract international imaging focused events to Tampere. And when we have those events, we ask them to take an evening out of their several days events to come and meet and network and mingle with our local companies. So these are very good opportunities for the local companies to meet with new international potential partners, but also for the international companies to see for themselves and talk face to face with the experts to really find out what's going on here. So in the bottom picture, you'll see an event we did in 2019, the VCX conference. And here you could argue that we had representatives in that room in Tampere from every company in the world that was putting a camera in a mobile phone. So super networking opportunity. But we're involved in a wide range of activities. And what we're looking for in these events is not just the networking, but also new real projects. So proof of concept projects where several companies can come together, integrate their technology, and maybe create a new product together. So that's what we strive for in these ecosystems overall. Next slide, please, Anne. So to give you an example of one of the large multinational companies, Huawei has a site of over 100 people in Tampere, focused entirely on R&D. The largest team is the imaging team. They also have an audio technologies team. And they're not focusing on the next Huawei phone. They're focusing on the camera technology for a few generations ahead. So it's a very advanced R&D center and crucial for Huawei's development. Next slide, please. But also Nomicam, for example, Tampere company, inherited much of the equipment from Microsoft for testing cameras. And Nomicam has clients throughout the world, and their service is to test the camera that goes into the phone. So they have pieces of equipment in their labs that are unique within Europe. So great service for our ecosystem to have. Next slide, please. If you'd like to find out more, please check our imaging landing page on Business Tampere website. We're also active on Twitter and LinkedIn. Feel free to follow us there. And please do contact me directly if you'd like to find out more. Next slide, please. So with that, I'd ask Anne to launch the poll question and encourage you to note my email address there if you'd like to find out more and phone number, or share in the chat window any questions that you might have. Thank you, Anne.
Sure. Thank you, Oliver. So let's give people some time to answer this one, and then we next we will hear Mr. Ari Lylynoja, who's a senior business advisor from Business Tampere, and Ari will tell us about the automotive ecosystem. So please, Ari, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Anne. Can you see my video as well?
Yes, we can.
Okay, very good. So let's continue with the Tampere automotive cluster. You can take the next slide, please. The automotive industry is transforming very, very rapidly at the moment. These are the 4 technology megatrends changing the mobility sector. Cars are becoming connected, autonomous, shared, and electric. And we also see many new business models and related smart mobility services out there. This development is very fast, and it opens quite new opportunities for the collaboration with the automotive sector. And this is one of the reasons why we have very active automotive ecosystem in the region. Next slide, please. Now, Tampere Automotive Cluster is really built on the wide expertise in intelligent machines and smart devices. Tampere is a central hub for the development and manufacture of mobile work machines. One good example is Sandvik, a leading provider of advanced products and services for mining and rock excavation industries. Underground loaders and trucks also follow the automotive trends, as they are also becoming connected, electric, and autonomous. And in the picture there, you can see the new generation electric mining jumbo, which is made in Tampere. And then on the other hand, smart device building expertise has been, and it still is, very relevant for developing future automotive solutions. As an example, Microsoft's development center in Tampere, they focus on camera, imaging, wireless, and electronics design for the new Surface products, as you can see on the right side of the picture. Next slide, please. Now, regarding Tampere Automotive Cluster, we started building the cluster in late 2018. At first, there were around 20 companies, and now today, around 100 companies and 200 members. So the cluster has been growing very, very rapidly. We arrange regular networking events for information sharing and open discussions. And these events, they have been very valuable, and they also serve as a platform for starting new collaboration and partnership discussions. Linking to international automotive industry is also very important activity. We invite overseas visitors from automotive industry to join our events. For example, in the past, we have had visitors from Germany, Sweden, and the UK. And we also join international automotive events, roadshows, and company visits when possible. Of course, now when COVID-19 is here, it's not that possible, but in the future again. We aim to find, of course, new opportunities for business, partnerships, R&D projects, and investments. Next slide, please. Now, here is the intelligent solutions offering for automotive. Digital cockpit and also driver experience is becoming very important. This includes in-vehicle infotainment platforms and industry instrument clusters, automotive applications, human-machine interface, and user experience development. autonomous driving and also advanced driver assistance systems like sensor fusion, AI, data analytics, LiDARs, radars, computer vision. They are all in the mix when developing new solutions. And connected car and automotive software. The amount of automotive in the modern car is really huge. It is said that there is more software in the new Mercedes S-Class car than a jet fighter, and that's really a lot. And therefore, security critical software development is very important as cars are continuously connected. They get over-the-air software updates and communicate with various external systems and services. Advanced engineering includes, for example, electronics, sensors, lidars, cameras, antenna design, and so on. And then there are also various smart mobility solutions and services we have. Next slide, please. Now, here are our members, including technology companies, education and research institutes. They can be divided into three main groups. The first one provides automotive systems and components, and the second one, digital solutions for automotive. And third one is focusing on research, smart mobility, and advanced engineering services. And there are also a number of international companies in the cluster, such as PHTC, Axon, AAC Technologies, Rightware, NSG Group, Here Technologies, Tietoevry, Microsoft, Symbio, Qt Company, and more. So we are quite international as well. Now, the next slide, please. And this is one of the companies I wanted to highlight as it really tells why it's good to be in Tampere. This is the German automotive systems integrator PHTC, Perhella Thermocontrol. That is one of the world's leading companies in climate control, thermal management, and human-machine interfaces for the automotive industry. In 2017, they opened an R&D center in Tampere. The main reason for this was the availability of high-tech expertise and local automotive ecosystem in the region. They focus on automotive display and operation units, including center information display, touch devices, integrated center stack, and gesture control. And there is a brand new full electric Skoda Enyaq iV central touchscreen, which is designed completely by PHTC Tampere. The picture is in the lower left-hand side. And I guess that was all for me. Maybe you can put the next slide, please. And that's about it. It was a short introduction to Tampere Automotive Cluster, and I would like to thank you for your attention. And maybe Anne, you can launch the poll as well.
Yes, I will launch that. So here we go. We have the question visible here. So thank you, Ari. And actually next we will hear Mrs. Heini Wallander, business advisor from Business Tampere. And she will tell us about intelligent machine building ecosystem. And Heini will share her own material. So I'll stop sharing here. There we go.
And you can hear me?
Yes, and see the slides very nicely. Thank you, Heini.
Perfect. Very good morning from my behalf as well. I'm here to present the intelligent machines and automation ecosystem. As you have heard from the previous presentations, this is a very big thing in our region. We are the industrial capital of Finland, with strong industrial heritage of over 150 years of history. city was based on the manufacturing industry, and we have had a lot of R&D, a lot of work done around this. Actually, what this has brought us is also the intelligent mobile work machines that we see are the top of the world. We have plenty of market leaders, world leaders in this segment. And what has brought us here is, of course, what you have heard from Oliver's and Ari's presentations, that we have combining this industrial manufacturing heritage and the machine building to the mobile device ICT know-how. So we have still the position in the intelligent machine world, combining all these pieces of know-how. Well, examples of companies in this sector. We have plenty, over 10 OEMs, so big OEM companies developing these big machines that are market leaders. But the ecosystem goes beyond that. We have system integrators, component suppliers, manufacturers, contract manufacturers around it. Then we have the whole digitalization layer, ICT sector supporting all these industries, automation, and then the communities, facilitators, innovation platforms. So this ecosystem, as it has formed during 150 years of excellence, basically. So it's combining these all players. And of course, the backbone behind it are the talents, is the research, the new knowledge that is created by our education and research institutes in this area. They also have these centers of excellence in these fields, which substantially helps the companies develop and create new innovations, new ways how to succeed in the market. Overall, in numbers, this is our biggest industry. We have lots of companies, and the turnover of the intelligent machine companies only is over 13 billion euros. So the number of companies is substantial, and of course that means that we have a lot of talents around this ecosystem as well. Some examples. Mining, as Ari already presented, recent release was this unmanned electrified drill operating in the mines. So our companies also have taken the sustainability aspect very seriously and are leading basically that development towards zero emissions and autonomy as well, which is also a theme that is present in multiple of our ecosystems, including the automotive cluster. But besides these machines in mines, there's, for example, our ports. We have the biggest inland port that is the center of R&D for cargo tech. And towards autonomous ports, there the sustainability is of course a very, very big development issue. And then John Deere, for example, and we have actually a couple of forestry R&D centers here in our region. So it's clearly a hub for this kind of development. And currently the biggest drivers are, as I mentioned, sustainability, but then of course the digitalization, increasing autonomy, and digital solutions supporting the machines, making them actually easier for the drivers, and someday in the future, not so far, they will be completely autonomous. So that's good news, for example, for mines, because in mines, for example, lots of the energy consumption is with the air ventilation, but if there are no people, they don't need to ventilate them so much. So it's a huge energy savings. Overall, we'll share you the slides probably later, so I'll show you the video or you can see it. But overall, we are an attractive, competent place and for both intelligent machine building, manufacturing, and combining with all the other ecosystems that we have. So it makes it diverse and a good source for new innovations, especially in R&D, but also manufacturing. I welcome you to visit. We have very interesting sites where we can bring guests to get to know more about the R&D sites, about the test platforms that we have in the region. But this was this ecosystem, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Heini. So let me see. Okay, finally. So thank you, Heini. And our next speaker is Miss Pirkko Eteläaho, and she's a project manager from Business Tampere, and she will tell us about circular economy. So please, Pirkko.
Thank you, Anne, and good morning from my side as well to all of you who are listening. So I will be sharing information about the circular economy and clean tech activities in Tampere region with you. And as Mr. Rantanen already mentioned in his opening speech, we are driving towards the carbon neutrality in our region. So Anne, if you took the next slide. So our target is to be carbon neutral by 2030. So what does this mean and what do we need, and also where we are now? I will go through these shortly with you. So on the next slide, you can see the figures of the climate vision, or what it means to be carbon neutral. So basically that means that we are lowering the emissions by 80% from the 1990 levels. And as you can see from the graph in this slide, we of course need to do work in various sectors, and the energy related sectors are forming like a majority of the actions that we need, but of course there are a lot of others as well. For instance, related to mobility solutions and industrial solutions, waste management, and all kinds of different sectors. So we need to work on this very thoroughly in different levels and different sectors. And on the next slide, you can see that where we are now. So basically, these figures are from the year 2018, so 2 years back. So if you think about the total emissions and their relation to 1990 levels, we are almost already in 30% decrease. And if we are thinking about the emission levels per capita, then we are coming near to 50% reduction. So we are already in a good phase, but of course there's still a lot to do to reach the goal. And one major way of achieving this is the energy transition. So for instance, in the next slide, you can see what kind of investments our regional energy company has been doing in the recent years and will do by 2030. So they are investing very heavily in renewable energy. For instance, different types of wood-based power plants and facilities, and also waste to energy plant that started its operation in 2015. And currently we are building the Naistenlahti 3 plant, which is the largest biopower plant in our region to be. And it will be ready in a couple of years. But of course, also other investments are needed. But for instance, if we think about the emissions from the energy company, these investments will reduce their emissions by 95% from the 2010 levels. So this is a very good example of the climate work in our region. And then the next slide shows like what will be the share of renewable energy. So basically all the new investments that they are doing are based on renewable energy. So by 2030, we will have around 90% of our energy produced from renewable sources. Then we have also other major investments in our region related to circular economy and clean tech. So on the next slide, you will see the new Tampere region central wastewater treatment plant that is also under construction at the moment, and it will start its operation in 2 years. So this is an underground facility, and it will take care of the wastewaters of Tampere and the surrounding municipalities. And it will also be self-sufficient in energy, so it's a really wise investment also from the climate point of view. Then on the next slide, there's another currently ongoing investment related to bio-waste treatment. This facility will start its operation already during this year. So basically, in this facility, we are dealing with the organic waste coming from the households from then on when it's finished. So from the whole Tampere region, all of the bio-waste goes into this facility, and the end products include biogas for traffic use, and then also different types of fertilizers. Then on the next slide, here's a brief glimpse to the ecosystem. So if you think about the companies that produce these circular economy and clean tech solutions we have, or which are directly related to this and do only solutions related to clean tech or circular economy, we are talking about 100 to 200 companies. But then if you think about companies that are providing certain products, services or technologies that relate to these kind of technologies, we are thinking about hundreds of companies. So this is a very wide ecosystem in our region. And then I will quickly present the major platforms that we have in our region. So Eco3 is probably the most known circular economy hub in our region, and it has also received a lot of international interest and been in a lot of competitions. And if you click once again, Anne, we will see what are the current spearheads of the Eco3 area. So we have there plenty of operators already related to energy sector, then different type of technical loops related to circular economy, bio-based solutions, and that kind of stuff. And actually on the next slide, you can see a diagram of the operations that already are there or will be in the near future. So basically all the other boxes already are in the area, but the ones on the left-hand side, like the biogas plant and wastewater treatment plant, they are coming up. And then there are, of course, new technologies that we seek for investments, like the CO2 conversion and that kind of technologies that would help to make the circular economy being more efficient, also in this area and the whole region. On the next slide, you can see which kind of companies and operators are already working in the area or are related to it by research and development or other operations. Then another major circular economy hub that we have in the area is the Taraste Circular Economy Park. And this is in the early phase, and now we are like looking for investments related to operations that need heavy environmental permission processes. For instance, dealing with huge volume masses like construction and demolition waste or ground masses and that kind of operations. Of course, there are also possibilities for logistic solutions, warehouses, different transport solutions, and that kind of stuff. But I have provided in the presentation the links to the platforms, so you can take a look for more details from there. And well, actually, Hiedanranta, Mr. Rantanen, in his speech, already told you about the plans related to this area. And of course, the future plans are huge, and it will be a very like sophisticated and sustainable neighborhood in the future. But already we have there in the area, it serves our companies as a circular economy pilot stage. So if you take the next slide, we can see that there are many kind of operations already in the area related to circular economy and new kinds of energy solutions and innovations. So now when it's in the planning phase, it's a perfect stage for piloting and testing out new kinds of solutions and working together on, for instance, the energy system or circular economy. But you can take a closer look on the website. And then one thing that I still want to mention is our energy self-sufficient business district, Lemene. So this is a very interesting area. You can also find a link to the web page here. But basically, this is a business district that has its own energy solution and combination of different types of energy solutions. So, for instance, solar energy, gas engines, fuel cells, different types of energy storage systems as well. So this is a very interesting example. So if you are interested in energy related innovations, please take a closer look on this. But this was a quick glimpse to the circular economy and clean tech side. So hopefully you got the overall picture, and please don't hesitate to contact us later if you have questions.
Thank you very much, Pirkko. So here you can see Pirkko's poll. And since we are closing to the end of this, I will give the floor to our host, Mr. Oliver Hassi, and he will continue with the topic, what international companies choose Tampere and why. Please, Oliver.
Thank you, Anne. You can already go to the next slide. And here's a quick glance at the kind of companies we've landed at that Business Tampere has supported in setting up new R&D sites here in the past 4 years. So we act as a one-stop shop for these companies, meaning it can be, and speaking from personal experience, having moved to Tampere just over 5 years ago, it can be a bit daunting to see so many different organizations and maybe not clear which one is providing what service. So we simplify that for our clients, and we act as a single interface for their site evaluation process. And we bring in all the different partners that are needed. So the companies here, many are imaging companies, a few automotive, and more recently health tech companies and semiconductor. We're going to see more activity there around the SOC hub. Next slide, please, Anne. So the most recent example is Microsoft. So famously, they left town about 5 years ago, but now they've opened up a new site focusing on the development of camera technologies for the Surface device that you see there in the picture. We were involved in a tough international competition to win this site, and happy to say that Tampere won that competition. In addition to camera technology, they'll also be developing RF and audio technology in Tampere, and they're targeted to grow, I think, up to 30 people in a short space of time. Next. Xiaomi is the third largest phone manufacturer in the world. They also came here mostly because of the talents and the ecosystem here locally, and they're focusing mostly on developing camera algorithms for the mobile phone. Next. BHTC, Ari touched on earlier on. I wanted to emphasize that they told us in that evaluation process that all of their sites worldwide were beside their customers, the OEMs. This was the first site in the world where they were not locating a new site beside their customer. And they did so because of the talent in the region, the unique availability of talent. Next. So in the ecosystem, obviously we're offering partners for these companies, but beyond the partners that they can cooperate with, these are the elements that we are offering. And you can see that talent is a big part of this, talent now and the pipeline in the future. And all of these elements, talent, research, startup, test beds, and so on, that's all accessible through the ecosystems and the clusters that we're presenting today. So talent is the main way we're competing internationally. And to contrast that, we don't have that many mining activities here, or mines here in Tampere. We do not have very low cost labor. It's not the largest consumer market in the world. So talent is really what we compete on internationally. Next. So we also, even before the pandemic, started to develop more data tools because we found the evaluation process was getting more data centric. So here's a glimpse of some of the data that we can provide our clients. Here we demonstrate that Finnish employees are one of the most loyal in the world in that they stay much longer than in their jobs, much longer than other countries. Next, Anne. And we can skip past the next chart. So here are links, and when we provide the information afterwards, I would invite you to browse these data sources. They provide an enormous amount of data that's easily configurable to your particular inquiry, and please pass these on to your contacts as well. I also wanted to briefly mention that we just launched the Tampere SOC Hub, System on Chip Hub. It's our latest ecosystem development activity, funded heavily by Business Finland. And we have a lot to offer companies developing chips worldwide, where there's a huge shortage of talent at the moment. We have a talent pool here, and we're inviting companies to come and set up R&D sites in Tampere. Next, please. And next again. So the conclusion here for event today is that we can help any companies that you're in contact with or you'd like us to support find the information they need in Finland and in Tampere. So please do follow up with us. Contact us by email or phone. Even if you miss our contact details in the slides today, all of our phone numbers and email addresses are listed on the website. Next, Anne. There will be a short survey that will pop up immediately after we finish this session. Please share your input. And this is part of a series of events for the consulates and embassies in Finland. We had the Tampere Smart City Week in January. We have today's webinar, and we would still like to invite you to the postponed in-person, in the flesh visit to Tampere later this summer. So we do hope that the pandemic eases and we will be able to meet you in person in Tampere. And here are some of the items that we're proposing will be on the agenda for that visit. Timo Jokinen has been coordinating this in the past. I wanted to let you know that now we're all coordinated, the Chamber of Commerce, Business Tampere, Timo, and the Mayor's Office, and we'd all like to cooperate and invite you for a tour in Tampere. Next, Anne. So if you'd like to share any questions with us, please do via the chat window. I have one here. I think it's for Pirkko, my colleague. Could you turn on your audio, Pirkko, and answer this one? What is the next main thing for investment point of view that we have to focus on related to reaching the climate neutrality goals?
Okay, this is a very interesting and important question. Of course, if you think about the slides that I presented, we can see that we already have like major investments going on and coming up. So, for instance, in the energy sector and the waste management sector and wastewater management sector. But of course, these are very important, but they are not alone enough. So of course we need to commit also all of our region companies and the citizens to change their habits and like reach these goals and make good choices. And of course mobility is one of those questions, of course, besides energy and waste management, that we can choose, like do we go with private cars or do we use shared cars or electric cars or bicycles, or do we walk to the office if it's possible, or do we use public transport? The tram is coming up here, so we already have good public transport, but the tram will also make this easier in our region. So basically I think the major investment is like the change of mindset in the citizens and also the companies side.
Kiitos, Pirkko. I think we've run out of time. So thanks, Pirkko, for your answer, and I think we'll leave it at that for the Q&A. Next slide, please, Anne. Very briefly, I wanted to thank you all for joining today. Very pleased to see so many countries from around the world represented on the call today. A pleasure having you. And special thanks to Anne for helping us out today, our speakers, and also to Lena Alto, who has been instrumental in organizing this event. Thank you, Lena, for your support. Next slide. And last slide. So thank you all for joining. There's my contact details as well if you want to contact me. It's been a pleasure having you. And as I said, we're really looking forward to seeing you in Tampere in person this summer, hopefully, fingers crossed. Good morning and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.